will say contacts are really important. During your studies, so all students will have contact with hundreds of people, professors, assistants, colleagues. They will visit companies. So maybe when they go to a party, they will know someone. So those contacts are really important.
And Germany is a country of Vereinen.
Associations.
Associations, exactly. They are in different spheres as well. Sport, I don't know, which cultural, really a lot of different according to the interest. And it also helps you to connect with others, to do this social networking. And of course, then it's easier to find a job. Because still, so-called vitamin B, it's always helping who knows somebody who can help me to find a job. And it increases your chances also. Or maybe you can get a recommendation from the person you work in as a volunteer in a summer kids camp who will give you good recommendation for your organizatorial or leadership skills. So every contact counts.
Because that's a problem I have seen when I give advice to many young students who are doing their bachelor's or they are doing after the bachelor's immediately the master's degree, that they say they don't have any experience. But if you work in a summer, so you don't have any experience. Showing that you work voluntary in a kids' summer thing, that's experience. It's not professional experience, it's not in a big company, but it's better than not writing that in your CV.
Wir haben hier an der Ernst-Abbe-Hochschule Studierende, auch internationale Studierende, die Study-Jobs bei Zeiss zum Beispiel absolvieren während ihres Studiums, ihre Bachelorarbeit, ihre Masterarbeit in großen oder mittelständischen Unternehmen ableisten. Das ist auch ganz üblich, dass man seine Abschlussarbeit im Unternehmen schreibt. Vor allen Dingen im Ingenieursbereich ist das hier ganz, ganz üblich. Und die Unternehmen kennen die Ernst-Abbe-Hochschule. Die wissen, das ist hier gleich nebenan, die kennen die Professoren und da besteht eine enge Kooperation. In vielen Studiengängen gibt es sogar ein Pflichtpraktikum, dass man bis zu einem Semester verpflichtet ist, im Unternehmen ein Praktikum zu machen mit Praxisarbeit. Das ist so eine Mini-Masterarbeit oder eine Mini-Bachelorarbeit, die da gefordert wird. Und da ist man schon ganz nah dran am Unternehmen. Da kann man dann mit der Abschlussarbeit fortsetzen und dann mit dem Arbeitsvertrag gleich fortsetzen.
Das, was ich doch in meiner Hochschule liebe, dass zu jedem Fach gibt es ein Praktikum, die man absolvieren muss. Was man in Vorlesung erfahren hat, sieht man direkt mit seinem Auge. Ob man wirklich an das teuren Geräte unserer Hochschule bietet viele Möglichkeiten. Wir haben sogar einmal zur Universitätsklinikum Jena gegangen, um das Gerät vor Ort sehen zu können. Wie gesagt, als wir nach Universitätsklinikum Jena gegangen sind, haben wir die direkte Herz-Lungen-Maschine geschaut, wie es funktioniert. Was soll man wahrscheinlich in Zukunft beachten, dass wir zukünftige Ingenieure und was ist die Schwierigkeiten, das Geschichte, wie es sich entwickelt hat und ja, das war total schön, die Kanüle und alles.
When I was searching for my programs, I was searching for a program that was an English thought. And this program should have a mandatory internship because when you are looking for programs, they are other master's degrees that is a voluntary internships. But I was looking for mandatory internships because I was really sure that it's going to be the perfect chance, the perfect opportunity for applying all the knowledge that I acquired.
So Sprachkenntnisse, also Deutschsprachkenntnisse spielen eine unglaublich große Rolle, schon während des Studiums. und auch für die Zeit danach. Und das Gleiche gilt auch für Praktika und Praxiserfahrung in Betrieben. Also es ist einfach in Deutschland so, dass es mittlerweile eine Grundvoraussetzung ist. Und das sollten einfach die Studierenden wissen, dass sie unbedingt Kontakte knüpfen müssen, dass sie sich so früh wie möglich damit beschäftigen mit dem Thema Karriere und Karriereplanung und da in die Materie einsteigen, ist also unglaublich wichtig.
You can learn also qualifications that are demanded. Programming, for example, or other languages, soft skills, Excel. So many people nowadays work only with Excel. And that's something that you don't learn in the university. Also, knowing how to drive, so the recognition of your driving license, having a driving license, a German driving license, so change it from the Venezuelan to the German, opened me gave me the opportunity to take the car of the company and transport things that I need for things that for my daily job.
In the era of digitalization, the human resources or humans, personalities will be in the focus. So it means as more interesting as a person you are, as more multitasking you are or multi-skilled, the more required you will be on the market. And of course it comes also to languages, not only German language, but also English, or your maybe native will be required. And also your skills to search, it's also important. So even knowing your profession is important, because you study a field, but you don't really make thoughts about what will be my profession, who I want to be. So also to get to know yourself is important, to get to know yourself from the professional perspective. Do I want to be, when I study medical engineering, more bio, more medical, or more engineering, which is more what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and what are my specific focus of interest. So also start from the very beginning, think about these ideas, about these questions. And then as better you know, as narrow can you specify, as precise can you specify your search, the more faster, the more precise you will find the position which match you as a personality and which will be matching you as a professional. So this is the general advice.
Voluntary internships are also a good idea, because with that you know new people, you make new connections, you see what the market is offering to you, or if you are able to find things. So also some programs in Tübingen, they have mandatory internships. That's okay, but maybe you can do another internship, a second or a third internship. And if your bachelor's or master don't have a mandatory internship, then try to find something. And if it's not a mandatory internship, maybe a voluntary job during the summer vacations.
There are mandatory internships which are by law unpaid, because they are part of the student program. But if you search for summer jobs, for additional student jobs, or just for a second internship or so-called voluntarily internship, normally it must be minimum wage paid. So the minimum is minimum wage in Germany, and it also change every year. So just get informed online how much it is. Besides, it's also a good idea. Internship itself also connects you to the working world, to the company's world, and as much time you have, you can also try to balance it with your study to invest it to do this internship. It's always helping you to get new skills and to get to know their company world here.
I would say yes. There is statistics that in the beginning of the studies, not so many international students have the fixed plan to stay in Germany, but just at the end of the studies, they are, familiar with the culture, with the language, with the surrounding, and often they just are on job search, just minimal to get the first job experience also in Germany. This is also supported by the residence law. Students who graduate in Germany have the option to then directly after graduation switch to a job-seeking visa for 18 months. And this is the time you have to find a job. And the amount of students who is interesting to stay for a while, for longer, for all the time in Germany is growing while studies, and especially in the technical fields, well-skilled staff is really wanted in Germany, and there's usually not so many problems to get the job, but it depends a little. It depends on your personal experience. It depends on how you just convince the company, and in this matter it makes sense to use some information by career services, get information how the German labor market is working, how to write an interesting and good CV, how to make a good motivation letter. You get information on that, you get guidance on that, one hand by institutions in the government in Thuringia, but other hand usually at the universities.